welcome.
All right. See if we can get the clicker to work. Thank you, Martin, and thank you to the IDTechEx team for inviting me to participate and stand up here on the main stage. And it's great to have an opportunity to talk with all of you. I'm going to share with you a little bit about the Internet of Me and how we use data to empower patients. So I've actually been on a 30-year journey with heart disease, and I've learned a little bit, and I'm hoping that I can share that with all of you, and you can include some of these thoughts in what you're doing and how you're developing technologies that eventually will impact people like me. So I grew up being one of those kids that played a whole bunch of sports, was a competitive swimmer, soccer player, ran track in high school, had an opportunity to be a competitive skier and professional windsurfer. Turns out, I was never able to actually take my pulse. For all of you that have ever been to a PE class and you do an activity and the instructor says, okay, fingers on your wrist, count for 20 seconds and come up with a number. I couldn't come up with that number. All the other kids could. At the age of 19, I went in for knee surgery to go clean up the mess I'd been making from skiing and windsurfing. And as part of the pre-op test, I had my first EKG. And as that strip came out of the machine and the nurse's eyes got really wide, I went from being a competitive, healthy 19-year-old athlete to a heart patient headed to the coronary care unit. Turns out, 270 beats per minute is not normal. Who knew? That helps explain why I wasn't able to count all those heartbeats. And I ended up, after a month at UCSF of testing and things like that, I had a rare arrhythmia. And they didn't know why I had lived as long as I did, and they didn't have any answers on how I was going to keep living going forward. I ended up being invited to participate in experimental surgery, and I was one of the first human ablations. They ablated my entire AV node, and I'm 100% pacemaker dependent. So I've had the ultimate wearable for a very long time, which is the implantables. And in 2010, that picture in the middle was me kind of dealing with the issues of being on the cutting edge of technology, which is scar tissue that built up, and I ended up having open heart surgery. And that was also the first day that I decided I don't want to be a victim of heart disease. I want to continue to be an active, healthy person. And so that's my first day of training for what I set up as a goal, which is I wanted to go and do a 50-mile bike race. And I had that goal, and in setting that up, I knew that I was going to need tools and data to make sure that I was going to be safe so that I could actually achieve that goal and not feel scared that I was going to blow up my heart. And then also, I needed a community that was going to support me in that process. So this is where the idea of the Internet of Me and all of the data that I produce that helps to keep my doctors informed and also allows me to do the things that are important, such as getting back on my bike and racing and things like that. So I currently have a Boston Scientific pacemaker, and that pacemaker is Wi-Fi enabled and talks to the device there called the latitude communicator, which passively interrogates and pulls the information from my pacemaker. I use my wearable technologies so that I don't have to count every heartbeat anymore. I can let the device do that, and then I can use that information to make sure that I'm staying safe. I'm in the parameters that are okay for me to exercise within, and I can collect information that will allow me to have a better conversation with my doctor. And that last picture was, for me, an opportunity to pull in my pacemaker tech team and be in the human performance lab to do lactate threshold, VO2 max, power, and optimize my pacemaker. performance, all in the same place. So we're generating lots of data to give me not only the kind of life that will let me survive, but allow me to do what I want to do. So this is actually some of the data that's really generated from me. This is the report that comes from my pacemaker via the Latitude device. And we have to start to remember that because of things like being able to have your genome sequenced, individuals are going to start showing up with even more data. So I have my genome done, and turns out there's 176 variants just related to cardiovascular. And we already know that I'm kind of broken. So can we learn anything from what my genome says that will be interesting in helping others in the future with diagnosing some of these arrhythmias and things like that? So this is, when you start to think of the value of the types of things that all of you are developing with sensors and wearables and apps, and you're providing people like me with a window into what's going on in my body, which essentially allows me to collect data and information so that I can have a conversation with my care team that's not based on feelings, which are really hard to treat, but instead based on data points that will then allow us to take action more quickly. And I also can use many of these apps and the social media and the communities that are created to find other people like me that helps with the not feeling so alone. And if you realize that you can feel safe, and if you're safe, you're more confident, and with that confidence you do more, that's what allows individuals like me to get our lives back. And for anyone that's dealt with chronic illness or disease, one of the big things that you have to deal with is fear and anxiety and depression. And that's what causes many people to continue to consume lots of healthcare. So if we can start to empower individuals to have information, to go to the doctor less to get an answer like, am I okay? And that's going to help us provide more care for less cost. So I've actually been really successful at overcoming my little issues with heart disease. And I did reach my goal. And I continue to race mountain bikes and road bikes all over the world. And my goal then was, okay, if I was able to do this, because I was in the hospital bed, I set a goal, I actually reached that goal, how do we scale my success so that we can empower other people to do the same kind of thing? One of the things that I've done is I've gotten involved with the Healthy Heart Study, which is all about using big data. It's kind of the next generation of the Framingham study. And it was initiated here at UCSF, and it pulls together 1 million people, that's their goal, to participate, and they are both healthy and heart patients. And the idea is to get them to donate and participate by generating wearable data, using e-visit data, and then clinical data to create these big buckets that researchers can then find cohorts that they can then perform research using big data. So the way we're going to get to all of that information is wearables, sensors, getting people to be willing to donate their data. And this is, of course, where people always ask me, what about data privacy? What about HIPAA? And honestly, I think that we've gone a little too far. We scare everybody when they come into the doctor's office and we say, okay, sign this HIPAA form. We don't, medical data, you'll know, bad things will happen if anybody ever sees it. And we all rush home and we post what happened to the doctor on Facebook. So we've not really gotten to a healthy balance. And for me, personally, because the length of and the quality of my life will be dependent on innovation and sharing data, and this will also help others, I'm all for, have at it. Just let me be valued for the data that I share, and let me know who's using it and why. So I had an opportunity this year to spend 7 months participating in a program at Harvard Medical School. And we basically were immersed in all aspects of healthcare, from research to clinical street care and in hospitals. And basically, I kind of walked away with, all right, we're in a transformational time with healthcare. We have our legacy systems, which is our payers, our providers. The big thing they're working on is, how do we get our EHR, electronic health record data, that's locked in digital walled gardens to become interoperable. But the exciting part, and this is where all of you are involved, is the future of healthcare, the disruptors. We can really just bypass traditional care, and we can start to work on building that future of healthcare. And that future of healthcare is going to continue to power our research and create opportunities to connect dots and find the needle in a haystack from big data that's collected from sensors and wearables that are allowing people to provide data from the context of everyday living and not just what's collected in the every 6-month visit to the clinic. So how are we going to get there? We're going to have tool makers, the pieces and the parts, the fantastic things that are going with stretchable electronics and stretchable sensors, and the way that batteries are being created to be invisible, and what are we going to do with the things that all of you are creating by building multiple sensors on something that can be worn by somebody continuously to collect information. And we also have the healthcare data standards. So the groups out there like HL7 and FHIR of, okay, how do we come up with common data models that will allow us to make the data interoperable? And then of course, my day job, which is Google Cloud Platform, we are the infrastructure that will let you build on to give you a place to ingest the data, store the data, and analyze the data. Then we have the assemblers. Those of you that are going to assemble all of these great pieces and parts to build solutions that eventually people like me that are your end user will leverage to make our lives better. So this is, like I said, I have a day job, which is at Google Cloud Platform. But I've been focused on, look at what's happening with the Internet of Medical Things. It's growing. This is an industry that's taking off, and the healthcare, the legacy healthcare system is trying to figure out what the heck they're going to do with all this information. But at least we're providing you an infrastructure to ingest that data, to store that data, to manage the connections, the continuous streaming of that data. And then of course with the patient-generated data, again, this is a place where we often hear that consumer wearables aren't calibrated for medical grade. But that's okay. As long as the data collected is consistent, that's what's going to allow us to determine when there's an anomaly, that's a valid, actionable instance. And that can then be the beginning of the discussion with the physician to then move forward with some medical grade testing if that's the next step. And again, we offer the infrastructure to allow you to ingest that data, store that data, analyze that data. And something that's also really important is that, there are many, as we create this doctor in your pocket on a mobile device, it's all of the apps. So how do we build trust with our users? We make sure that the apps are tested. We make sure that they're going to work and that they're secure. And so we have Firebase Test Lab, which is a place that you can actually do the testing of your apps on real devices and learn information so that when you're delivering something to your customers, it's going to be of quality and stable. So this is kind of a high-level architecture of what would an Internet of Medical Things or Internet of Things look like. You have your constrained devices, so either my wearable on my wrist or my pacemaker, which is then connected to my gateway to transmit the information, and that's my Latitude device, or my cell phone, which is going to have some apps on it. And that then it allows you to put the data into the cloud ecosystem for processing and evaluation and things like that. Why us? There are other cloud providers, but Google really wants to take what we've done to organize the world's information and now organize and help you organize the healthcare information. So as we're generating all of this new data, how do we make it universally accessible and how do we make it useful? So we are also coming to you with a bunch of puzzle pieces that you can assemble to build the infrastructure that will support the applications that you're building. We also take security very, very seriously. So we want you to know that we have a HIPAA-compliant, healthcare optimized cloud infrastructure for you to build the solutions that you need. So if we want to get to where we're ingesting data from multiple data sources and providing that in a secure storage area, allowing you to do the analysis that you need to do or want to do, and then being able to put that back out to the stakeholder or the user that can best need that information, whether it's a patient, your healthcare provider, or your payers, or your researchers. Machine learning. We hear a lot about machine learning. And the thing about it, making good machine learning and great machine learning is you need a lot of data to do it. But the cool thing is now with all of the sensors, the wearables, the data collectors, and things that we're now building, we're going to have enough data to build and train models to actually find really interesting things. So we offer TensorFlow, and we also have our cloud machine learning platform. So for all of the data scientists in the room that want to come and play with us, we would love to work with you and collaborate on machine learning opportunities. We do provide some modules out of the box to facilitate, translate, cloud prediction API. We have our vision API and our speech APIs. So if we get to where we can start to apply these to healthcare, imagine the things that we're going to find and what we can do. And this is where, in conclusion of some of the things that I've learned, we're moving from fee-for-service to value-based care. And we're going to get there by empowering individuals to be more accountable, to have more control over their health care. We want to keep people healthier before they go to the doctor. And this is where having that data, having the information will empower them to stay healthy. And we're going to look to all of you to help build this. And it's going to be very exciting. And for me personally, I've been at this for a very long time. I felt like I was a bit of an island on my own. And now I have all of you in the same boat, and you're going to help build the new technologies. You're going to help people like me live amazing lives. And I'm looking forward to collaborating with all of you. So thank you.